This video is brought to you by RogueDeckBuilder.com. Purchase a playmat today and help us make the move to our new studio. We have over 10 playmats to choose from. Visit RogueDeckBuilder.com. Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Here with, today is the morning of the 11th, and we had some spoilers today that I thought I'd talk about. Kind of mixed feelings about these spoilers. I thought they're important enough. I know I haven't done much spoilers videos in the past, but I want to keep the past of this con spoiler. But I want to keep on top of these latest spoilers, and we're starting to see a lot of the filler cards, which is really cool because it kind of gives us a gist of what the set's going to be about, how you can build the limited type strategies, and how standard's going to be affected. So first card right off the bat is a bummer. I did not want to see this card printed. I don't know if Magic the Gathering, if Wizards is trying to put out a poor man's version of Thoughtseize for all the, budget players and people that can't afford the Thoughtseizes or whatnot, but I was so happy that Duress was out of the format. Now we didn't have Duress and Thoughtseize, so a huge hand disruption type strategy. Rakdos Return is going to be gone too. You still have Mind Rot, but anyway, Despise is printed. Despise here on your left-hand side of the screen. This is an oldie but a goodie. Despise says, well, actually, I think it was like New Phyrexia was the last time it was printed. What Despise says, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a creature or planeswalker card from it. That player discards that card. Okay, so now if creature-based decks are all the glory in Standard, you now have, especially if it's like mid-range, you don't have two ways to first turn grab that bomb out of the hand, and that's just ugh. We still have a year of Thoughtseize to deal with, one of my most hated cards ever printed, as there's usually three things that players in Magic the Gathering, at least the average Joe, does not like to play against. One is hand disruption, two is over or undercosted counterspells, and three is land destruction. Each of those, prohibit actually playing the game of Magic. We like to resolve spells, and then I'm a person that likes to resolve combat tricks and instances that affect the battlefield, affect actual combat and other stuff. And Thoughtseize and Despise and cards like Mana Leak, or like I said, undercosted land destruction, are really just trying to lock your opponent out and then try to do something huge. That so Standard right now has been dominated by the first turn Thoughtseize, second turn Mutavault Pack Rat, because what they do is they first turn Thoughtseize, get your removal, or see exactly what your game plan is, and they have the information to completely either go like a Desecration Demon route or a Pack Rat route with Mutavault and then just go nuts. One of the problems with if they don't have a Thoughtseize or have any way to get information in their hand is they have to play around potentially having a card like Anger of the Gods or Cyclonic Rift or something that will completely destroy their Pack Rat strategy. If they first turn Thoughtseize and either find that card that would have dealt with Pack Rat or see that you don't have that, the cat's completely out of the bag and they know they can go crazy on the Pack Rat strategy. So that is why I don't like very, very undercosted hand disruption. That is very, very powerful. I mean, Thoughtseize is really like both players mulliganing to 6, and I guess Despise against heavy creature-based decks is going to be somewhat the same way. Now, Duress I've always thought was more fair because it's like a non-creature for a non-creature. This one is a non-creature for a creature, and again, if this is just going to prohibit cards like, here we go, Surg Dragonclaw from ever becoming huge because, first turn they either Thoughtseize or Despise it out of the way. So, most likely it's going to be a sideboard card, and it's going to punish heavy creature-based decks, and it just doesn't stomach well with me. So, not very, very happy about that card. Now, we have some cool cards. This Chief of the Scale, I apologize again for the quality of these cards. The MTG Salvation just has rough pictures of these. They probably got it off sometimes Wizards puts out promos for some of their products and they don't use the best resolution. We have the Chief of the Edge and Chief of the Scale. Whoa is all I can say. These are both bomb cards to pick up. They are uncommons though, but in limited, you're going to be wanting to pick these pretty highly because warriors are everywhere in the format, and these are very undercosted. A 2/3 for 2 completely shuts down aggro, as they're going to be casting 2/2 bears or 2/1s or whatnot. And this guy, you slap this down and he can block for quite a while. And then we have Chief of the Edge, which is a 3/2 for 2, which has always been good. And the cool thing about these is they give other warrior creatures +1/+0 or +0/+1. Again, there's going to be plenty of warriors in the format, and I think these are great limited. I don't quite see them being played in constructed. I don't think they're powerful enough. Maybe the Chief of the Edge if there isn't something better at that slot. But I'm trying to think of what we have at that slot already, like Painseer. I think Painseer is a little bit better than Chief of Edge, so I don't think it's going to see any standard play. But limited play, these are definitely crucial pieces. Now, on to the card that I am just completely salivating over, which is Retribution of the Ancients. This card right here, it says remove X +1/+1 counters from among creatures you control. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. You get to remove X -1 or +1/+1 counters. X for just one. Holy Undying Batman. There's so many Grey Merchant, or not Grey Merchant of Asphodel, the good old 3 mana card from Dark Ascension, where the zombie that when it comes into play deals 2 damage, and then it's got Undying. For 1 mana, you can just keep. There's got to be some crazy, stupid combos with this that are just waiting to happen in Modern. I don't know about Standard because +1/+1 counters are advantageous most of the time. I mean, you don't get like Undying kind of +1/+1 counters felt a little bit negative because if they die again, then they're gone forever. So this card, if this card would have been printed in Innistrad, it would have been bonkers. So I'm thinking this will actually, it's a 1 mana enchantment. That's huge. Right there, there's a lot of, that's make or break in Modern. Because I think it's the first turn there is some Undying creatures. There is, green, there is the Wolf that you can bring out that's a 1/1 dying. And then you have Stranglehold Ice at 2. And then it's not hard to fix, especially green and black in Modern. But there also is some zombies. There's a 2 mana zombie, Butcher something, I believe, the Butcher Ghoul that has Undying, and then of course the other ones I've talked about. But it just seems very, very powerful, especially like Gavany Township too. If you put X+1, if you put 1/1 counters on all your tokens, for 1 mana you can remove all of those, and then kill basically anything. You could kill opponent's Goyf, you could kill like Splinter Twin. They can't go off as long as you have, the ability to remove counters. I just think that the card is awesome. And yeah, it can die to Abrupt Decay and whatnot, but the 1 mana on each of the modes here, the 1 mana to cast it and the 1 mana to activate it is absolutely huge. And I think that it actually might see some upside in Standard as well, just because of, like I said, it's just very cheaply costed. So very, very looking forward to Retribution of the Ancients. I think it's incredibly powerful. Now we have, again, a lot more this High Sentinel of Erishin. It says flying High Sentinel of Erishin, and it gets +1 for each other creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. So yesterday I talked about, we don't know if how much +1/+1 counters are going to affect the game. Well, now we're starting to see it with a bunch of these cards. Now, Retribution of the Ancients, High Sentinel of Erishin, there's a few other I'm going to talk about later on. And this also, the secondary mode, you can put a +1 counter on target creature. This is going to be a great little rare and limited, as mana dumps are amazing in limited. If you have excess mana and actually do something, even if it's very minor, it's very, very positive in limited. So for 4 mana, you can put a +1 counter on target creature, and then it gets +1 for each +1 counter on for each creature you control with a +1 counter. So you can spread out some +1 counters, and then High Sentinels can get bigger and bigger. It's again, a 3/4 for 4 mana is awesome. I don't think it will see standard play, but great limited bomb. Kintree Invocation. This is another one that is pretty sweet. I think we saw this out of one of the Simic cards, but it was off of Power. This one's off of Toughness. Toughness is a lot easier to abuse than Power. So this is put an XX black and green Spirit Warrior creature token on the battlefield, where X is the greatest toughness among creatures you control. So there is, I'm sure, like Wall of Frost. I mean, wrong colors, but I mean, there's Doran, or out of the Tree Folk dude, that you could put a huge, like Wall of Frost, for example. You put a 7/7 for just 2 mana. It just seems very easy to abuse. Again, I don't know if this will ever see standard play, but it's a great card to build around in limited. Ride down, destroy target blocking creature. Creatures that were blocked by that creature this combat gain trample until turn. That's really cool ability, because let me talk to you how Ride Down works. If you block with a creature that has trample, and then the instant speed kill your creature, all of the trample damage goes through. None of it is blocked. So the ride down is basically making your guy unblockable because it says trample, and it's killing a creature and making it unblockable post declaring blocks. So pretty sweet card. I think this is going to be great removal, especially for how red, white, black decks definitely are aggressive in the format. And I think it's going to be a key card. It is uncommon. Actually, I can't even tell here. I think it looks like it's a... No, it does look like it's an uncommon here. And I guess we can click on it here and see what exactly... No, it doesn't say it's... It does look like it's uncommon, the silver there. It doesn't say it's a rarity here. Anyhow, it's going to be a nice little pickup for that aggressive. I think people are gonna underrate it as well, and you might get these late until later on. Like Sanctified Charge in M15 when I first started drafting was I'd get those almost forced. It was the same thing. I kind of went what we like to call in MTGO as going infinite in I believe it's M13 where there was a either 4 to 5. There was Captain's Call, which put out 1/1 tokens, and then there was another card. Oh, it was Trumpet Blast out of red, and Trumpet Blast they'd be forced like crazy, and I'd always build the Captain Call's Trumpet Blast deck, and I'd always either go second or first with that deck. And now people are starting to see the power. No one ever caught on to that, so I did that the entire season. But it was kind of the same thing with M15 with Triplicate Spirits and Sanctified Charge. You get both of those quite late. And then you could build just the Triplet Spirits Sanctified Charge deck. Now try drafting. You can't find either one of those cards. They're picked so highly. So anyway, I think Ride Down is going to have that same effect, that people aren't going to value it. And then pretty soon they're going to get ridden down, by this card. And then people are going to start overpicking it. But again, it is the 2 mana. This drafting is going to be incredibly weird. I didn't like Dragon's Maze draft because it was kind of more luck than nothing, whether or not your second and third pack actually started finding you either the fixers or subsequent cards that go in your color. I don't think the 4-color decks are going to be very... And then people might actually go the Dragon Maze strat and just go all expensive cards and then pick up every ramp artifact imaginable. So we'll have to wait and see how the format pans out. This could be either a completely unplayable card just because red-white is so hard to rely on, or it's going to be a completely powerful card with a very aggressive deck. So we'll see how that works. All right, so we go to Rakshas Secret. Target opponent discards 2 cards, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. It's another Mind Rot, another kind of filler card. I guess there is some that want cards in the graveyard. We'll have to wait and see how much of a graveyard set this becomes. We have some filler guys in the form of Morph, a 5/5, Morph for 5, and you can just cast it for 5 with it, which is Pine Walker. Briber's Purse enters the battlefield with X gem counters. Remove a gem counter from Briber's. Target creature can't attack or block this turn. Not too shabby. I can see this in aggressive. You're blocking this. You're casting this for 3 or 4. That's 3 or 4 turns of giving possibly unblockable to a creature. We have Trap Essence, counter target creature spell. Put 2 + 1 of those counters on up to 1 target creature. 3 different colors on a counter spell. Rare. I think that this is a card you absolutely are going to hate opening in a pack, whether it be just a pack or cracking or a pack and limited, as I don't see it impactful enough. We have so many counter spells right now that there's one out of M15 that gets forced quite often where it counters a creature spell and you get to draw a card. I think that that's more powerful than putting 2 + 1 counters on it. It's 2 and 2 blue, which the casting cost is a lot easier to work around. Trap Essence is going to be a dud. Molten Snakeskin, enchanted creature gets +2 +0 and has Regenerate. Not bad. That's kind of like the good old Trollhide. And very underrated, again, in limited. This is a card that, just for 1 mana +2 +0 is awesome. You put it on an Intimidate guy, you put it on a Lifelink guy, you get it put on a Flyer guy, any pseudo evasion. That's getting value, and the Regenerate is just icing on the cake. As late game, you can have a guy that is going to be very hard to deal with. So, very good black card for limited. Won't see constructed play, and maybe in a heroic deck. I doubt it, though. There's better things to do. Then we have a 2 mana for a flying First Strike Haste. There we go. There's the perfect little combination. The Gurmag Swiftwing with the Molten Snakeskin. So now it's a 3/2 flying First Strike and Regenerate. So Haste is kind of meh on a 2 mana guy. I would rather have, of course, Lifelink there. And then now we have the Outlast guys. So we've seen a few other ones before. We've seen the First Strike Outlast guys. So we have the Falconeer that gains flying. And the cool thing about these is if you can't attack that turn because they have like a 3/4 blocker or a 3/3 blocker, you can always use the Outlast and now it's a 3/4, and then it's going to give itself flying. I really like this guy a lot. And then we have the Outlast guy, the Nightblade, which gets Death Touch, which is pretty cool as well. But it is, the thing is, like, this is 4 mana, this is 3 mana, and I actually think that the Falconer flying is a little more powerful. So I think they overcosted this guy, this Myr Elk Nightblade. Kind of why they, I don't know. I guess Death Touch is pretty powerful on other creatures because all your 1/1s become, 2/2 Death Touchers, which is huge. Especially if you put it on the Grimog Swiftclaw here, or Swiftwing. That's a great little interaction. Now it's a flying first strike haste Death Touch 2/3, and Death Touch first strike is amazing. So maybe that's why they put it at a 4 mana. They didn't want to curve this Swiftwing into Nightblade. You'd be surprised in R&D how this affects. They play it out a lot before the set gets released, and maybe they play all modes. They try to create a mock standard environment, and they also create a mock limited environment. And limited is a lot easier to balance because you get to see all the scenarios with the commons and uncommons a lot faster. And maybe this exact combo happened a lot, and they're like, maybe we need to up the cost of the Merc Nightblade. So, but the Falconer, very, very good at 3 mana. I still think 4 mana is fine with the Nightblade. And then we have the Captain, the Tuskguard Captain, which gives Trample. Again, 3 mana for a 2/3 that becomes a 3/4 or 4/5. It's always becoming bigger. Eventually, it's going to be able to get your opponent. It feels like Chromataton, I think is what it was called. They had the 1 mana, put a +1/+1 counter on it. You had to tap it and pay 1, I believe, or just tap it. And then pretty soon it got big enough to where you could start attacking with it. Again, I think that these are fine. These are fine cards. And even if you never use the Outlast ability, we already talked about how +1/+1 counters are going to affect different things. So, I mean, if you have another card with +1/+1 counter, they gain flying, they gain Death Touch, they gain this card. This Nightblade would have been amazing in an Unleash type deck. So then we, of course, back to the old enchantment. We have ways to remove them. So I like the way that this is shaping up. I guess we didn't talk about Embodiment of the Spring either. This one's pretty sweet. It's 1 mana for a 0/3, and then you can sacrifice it to go get your basic land card. Kind of weird, though. It's a blue and then a green to activate it. So I guess just finding your other either red or white or blue, or I mean red or white or black would be the thing to do with him, or if you need double colors. But loving the way this set is shaping up. I think that again, I see the power level a little bit weaker than Theros, which is kind of weird. We've done a reset now for 5 consecutive sets. From Zendikar to Scars was a reset. From Scars to Innistrad was a reset. Innistrad to Ravnica was a reset. And now Ravnica to Theros is a reset. And now we've even had kind of a reset in power level from Theros to the good old Khans of Tarkir. I mean, of course, the set isn't completely spoiled, and we have to wait and see. So anyway, let me know what you think about these spoilers. This has been Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.